Continuing on from the card video, with this video I demonstrate how to create an employee card that can be used to show the staff members of the organization. Or it could be used as a testimonial card. Its use is endless. This is what I intend to produce. The first card is very simple to produce and it's ideal if you are a beginner. The second example adds a gradient. I could have used Bootstrap's gradient, but I found it to be too subtle. The last example is for an experienced developer. It makes use of display grid, transitions and 3D transforms. Let's get started. Here I have a page that has been pre-populated with a container, a row and a column. First I go to the theme manager to ensure that shadows has been enabled. Because a card expands to the width of its container, I change the size of the column to 4 calls wide. Inside the column, I add a card and add a class of shadow to it. I set the alignment to center. Round the corners. Remove the button. Change the title wording and add an icon. I move the image to inside the card body and remove the class. The image is no longer a top image. I insert the actual image. Make it a thumbnail and change it to a circle. Lastly, I'll give it a width of 120 pixels and add a bottom margin. It's starting to look great already. Above the card body, I add a card header and give it a background color. To set the height, I go to the design panel. Here I set the height to 120 pixels. While here, I select the image and give it a negative top margin of 80 pixels. And that is the first card done. I duplicate the column to create the start of the second card. Selecting the card header, I go to the Styles panel. When I click the plus sign, I am presented with the style sheet that I want to use. If the style sheet does not show, you will need to attach it first. In my case, I had already done so. After choosing the style sheet, I am presented with the selector. Notice that the selector includes the secondary background color. As we shall see, the rules that I create here will also affect the first card. The property is background, the value is linear gradient, blue to white. Great, I have produced a gradient. To fix the first card, I'll change the background color. This step is required only because I started with a duplicated card. For the second card, I see a horrible bottom border for the card header. You've guessed it. Remove it. I believe that we are ahead of schedule. I'll use that time to make a few changes to the second card. I select the card body and change the background color to light. I then select the card header and go back to the Styles panel. Here I change the colors of the gradient. But before I do, let us go down to the Bootstrap variables. Here we see that the variables have been allocated a value. I make eager use of these variables. What I want is the primary color and the light color. Back to the card header selector, I change blue to var, opening bracket, a double dash, primary and a closing bracket. I repeat the process for white, substituting it for light. This is the finished second card. For the last card, I duplicate the second column. What I am about to show originated from an article created by Nicholas Cadiz. I will leave the link to the article below. All that I have done is to Wapplerize the article. I give the third column a class of card container. Next, I will create a container to hold the cards. For this I need to go to the DOM panel. I choose to add the div before the card. I give the div a class of card flip. Then I move the card to within div card flip. Back in app structure, I add front class to the card. I then duplicate the card and change front to back for the new card. I also change the content of the second card to reflect the back of the card. That is it for the cards. I will now apply style rules that will flip the cards. I choose card container and open the styles panel. Click the plus button and the selector appears. The first property is display, the value is grid. The second property is perspective. The value is 700 pixels. Next comes card flip. This is turned into a grid as well. The grid template is 1 by 1. The single area gets the name of front and back. Transform style preserves the 3D effect. Transition eases the motion. Then comes the back of the card. Backface visibility hides the other side of the card. Transform style preserves the 3D effect. Grid area is front and back. The transform action is to rotate anti-clockwise. The front card gets the same treatment as the back card, with the exception of the rotation. The rotation is triggered when the mouse hovers over the card. This brings us to the hover event. For this I need to open the style sheet. Here I enter the selector including the hover pseudo class. This is where the rotation of the front card is triggered. While I am in the style sheet, I will correct a couple of coding errors. This should be transform. This has a hyphen that should not be there. 189 should be 180. Don't forget to save the file when done. When I turn the preview mode on, we can see the result. I hope that this video has been of benefit to you. I will hold off with further videos in the card series until I get your feedback on what you would like me to create next. Please leave your comments below or go to the Wappler community. I will leave the links below. My name is Ben Plessier. Thank you for watching.